Welcome back. We are in Proverbs chapter 17 today. 17 verse 1 says, "Better is a dry morsel of quietness than a house full of feasting with strife." So in other words, if you just got like a little piece of dry bread, but you have peace in the house and you can eat in peace, that's better than having this huge full meal and everyone's yelling at each other and throwing food and no one's getting along. You'll get to enjoy your meal that way. So it's better to have peace than to have strife. It doesn't matter what food you have. This is a wise servant will rule over a son who causes shame, and will share in the inheritance among the brothers. So like if a king's got a lot of sons and some of them are causing a lot of trouble, the dad will get the servant to help keep the son in line. It's like, hey, your job is to make sure he doesn't do anything too stupid. And then the servant gets more honor than the son. And Solomon knows that because he had a lot of brothers and they weren't very smart. Verse 3 says, "The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the hearts." So Solomon's comparing refining gold and silver and how God works with the heart. And so how you refine gold and silver is when you gather gold and silver out of the ground, it's never pure. You would gather the gold or the silver and then have all this stuff that's in with it, and you would put it in this pot and then put the pot over in the furnace and stoke the furnace up till it's really, really hot. And the gold will melt, and because it's heavy, it'll sink to the bottom, and all of the other impurities would kind of float and bubble on the top. And that stuff's called dross. So if you're singing some old hymn and the word dross comes up, that's what that stuff is. And you would take some kind of, it would look like a rake and a special kind of tool, and then you would scrape all that dross off. And then you would turn up the heat, and then more stuff would come up, because as more gold melts and it separates, the dross would float to the top, and you just keep doing that over and over again until the goldsmith or silversmith can look into the pot and see his own reflection as in looking in the mirror. And in the same way, God refines our hearts, right? He puts us in the furnace of trials and tribulations, and so it's no fun, but God turns up the heat, and life is not easy for us Christians, but life wasn't easy in the first place anyway, and all of that stuff just caused this ugly stuff to come out of us, and we're like, oh, I don't like that there, and we pray, God, please take this part away from me, and God just scrapes it off like he's scraping off the dross. Then he turns up the heat, the next trial comes up, more stuff comes up, like, oh, this was there too. I don't want this in my heart, Lord, get rid of this. And then you pray and he gets rid of it, he scrapes it off the top. And he keeps doing that, and the more and more he does it, the more and more he can look at you and see his own reflection in you. The more godly you are. And that is how he makes you pure. It's not a fun process, but it's the best process. If he just left us alone as a cold, dirty clump of gold in the dirt, we're not really useful for anything. So this is how he uses us. And although it's hard and no one says, oh, let's do that, that sounds like fun, it really is the best way to go, and we need to trust the Lord with this. Verse 4 says, "An evildoer give heed to false lips, and a liar listens eagerly to a spiteful tongue." So bad people are going to listen for the lies, for the gossip, for the slander, but don't let that be you. Verse 5 says, "He who mocks the poor reproaches his maker. He who is glad at calamity will not go unpunished." So don't make fun of the poor. Don't be happy when something bad happens to somebody else. That is not God's way, and God will talk to you about that. Verse 6 says, "Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children is their father." So basically, if you don't kill your kids, your reward is grandkids, which is great. And I always add, if you raise your kids right, you won't have to raise your grandkids. So it says, "Children's children are the crown of old men, and then the glory of children is their father." Children love their father. If you are a good dad, your kids will love you, and they will respect you the rest of your life, and they will talk about you in such a good light. So be a good dad. Do the right thing, and you'll be rewarded for it in this life. You won't even have to wait till the next, but you're rewarded in the next life too. God bless you and have a good day. See you next time.